Hello, good afternoon. We will now start a roundtable, an international roundtable. I'm very, very, very proud of this first international session here in Cannes regarding all the countries that participate to the SilverEco and Aging Well International Awards. So it's now the time for this international roundtable. I will just say that nowadays, 15 countries are represented in the festival. 12 SilverEco and Aging Well International Award were awarded. So thanks a lot to all our international partners. I'm very proud of this new organization. I think that now the Palais des Festivals de Cannes is the place to be to talk about silver economy, to talk about aging well at an international level. And we will start this roundtable with Mauritius, Italy, USA, UK, and of course, Nicolas, you will represent Europe. I will give you the microphone. Nicolas Filizzola, you are a member of the AAL program, Ambient Assisted Living program. Maybe you can tell us a few words about what is AAL program, and after that, you are free to organize the roundtable as you want. Thanks a lot for being with us, and have a nice roundtable.
Thank you, Jerome. Good afternoon. My name is Nicola Filizzola, and I work for the joint undertaking Active Assisted Living program. It's a program that operates from Brussels, and our mission is to finance the digital transformation in health and care, but with a specific focus on the active and healthy aging. We operate since 2008, and ever since we have financed, supported and promoted international consortiums composed of SMEs, academia and end users to develop products and new ideas in the aging well domain, and then we bring them, or hopefully we try to bring them to the market. So if you have any question after this session, I would be very glad to tell you how this could be possible, perhaps for you. By the way, there is one project which is present here today, Cogvis, from Austria. They were financed by us and they are today in the market. Once again, I'm very glad to have been called to moderate this panel of experts. Is the window of SilverEco France at international level to debate about what's happening out there beyond the borders of this amazing country. And to debate this with me today, I have 4 distinguished speakers. From my right, we have Mauritius Rossini from Italy, president of the Silver Economy Network in Italy. Alex Mitchell, program manager at NICA, UK. NICA is the National Institute for National Innovation Center for Aging. Sorry, Susan Cohen. Am I pronouncing well? Well, your CV is amazing. It's impressive. So I would just say that you work for IBM. You're one of those very big master inventor at IBM, and then I will give you some time to elaborate. And finally, but not for order of importance, we have Arun Gurborun, Counselor of Trade at the Republic of Mauritius in Paris. And so time is not so long. We have half an hour. So I would like to start already from you. Mauritius, we already had an exchange before we came here. And I think what mostly came out is that you wanted to explain what are the peculiarities of Italy compared to France when it comes to aging and when it comes to the economic infrastructure and ecosystem, and how do you see this as a way of collaborating with other countries?
Bon. Alors, nous sommes en France, je parlerai français parce que c'est moins pire que mon anglais. Alors, quelle est la différence entre l'Italie et les autres pays? Alors, l'Italie, c'est un pays vieux. Il a 14 millions de over 65 et sont un petit plus malades parce qu'ils sont plus vieux. il y a 3 millions de dépendants et qui sont en train d'arriver à 6 millions entre 2030. Sont un peu plus riches, ils sont propriétaires de maisons pour 80% et 20% ils ont plusieurs logements. Ils ont le 26,5% de la richesse italienne et pendant les derniers 25 ans, sa richesse est augmentée. Ils ne sont pas très capables d'utiliser toute la partie de digitalisation, mais sont en train d'arriver. En plus, sont plus épargnants. Alors, quel est, dans le point de vue personnel, ça? C'est qu'ils sont assez riches, vieux, et ils épargnent. Dans le point de vue de la famille, il y a la légende qu'en Italie, les personnes âgées restent dans la famille. Ce n'est pas vrai. 45% des personnes avec plus de 75 ans vivent seules. Et il y a 1 million de badanti qui sont des aides-soignants familiales qui vivent avec les personnes âgées. À niveau des pays, la politique italienne ne favorise pas la silver economy. À partir du système sanitaire qui est décentralisé, c'est en charge à les régions et chaque région a des standards, des tarifs et des modes de faire l'assistance totalement différentes. Aussi, pour arriver à la politique de logement, en Italie, la politique de logement pour favoriser la recherche ou le choix d'un logement adapté pour personnes âgées, ce n'est pas comme en France qu'il y a eu la loi Pinel qui a favorisé ça. En plus, il n'a pas la défiscalisation du travail au domicile, c'est-à-dire les badanti, qui sont plus d'1 million, comme disait, sont pour la plupart, 60%, payés en noir. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il n'a pas d'incentivation de réduire la fiscalisation de ça. En plus, il n'a pas de cluster comme en France, des clusters qui vont favoriser l'installation des entreprises comme la Silver Valley. Et alors, tous les Italiens qui se débrouillent, ils ont commencé à créer le Silver Economy Network, un désigne d'entreprise il y a 3 ans qu'ils ont commencé à rester ensemble en sein de Asso Lombarda pour créer pour favoriser le networking entre les entreprises qui ont services et produits pour la Silver Economy. Alors, nous avons créé le Silver Economy Lab, qui sont des espaces virtuels et physiques pour montrer les technologies innovantes, la Silver Academy pour le training du personnel, le Trend Observatory, pour voir quels sont les trends à niveau italien sur la Silver Economy et aussi un accelerator. Tout ça pour commencer à parler de ça.
Thank you, Mariuccia. I see there is a lot of, Italy is a very old country, ranks amongst the oldest in the world, but I see there is not a clear picture when it comes to a policy, a long vision, which is probably something you can discuss with the participants of the event here today. Next to you is Alex. Alex, you work for a rather interesting organization in the UK. It's based in Newcastle, NICA. And when we spoke the other day, you mentioned something that really resonated in my mind, which is the longevity definition, which to me is much more important than aging. In fact, if we want to speak about a good way to age, in my view, we have to speak about longevity. Can you briefly summarize what is this about, and then also touch upon the voice project that you're developing in France? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the National Innovation Centre for Aging, we have a mission to add intelligence to aging and healthy longevity. So we do that by bringing together industry, citizens, so patients, carers, ex-professionals, members of the public, and research organizations to co-design, co-develop new solutions, new innovations, new products, new services to support healthy longevity through the life course. One of our strategic initiatives, which we've launched this year, which really demonstrates this approach, is Longevity City, which is actually what we won the award for last night, so thank you very much, Silver Economy. The Longevity City initiative is about connecting what was previously rather siloed approaches, citywide approaches such as sustainable cities, healthy cities, age-ready cities. And by combining and connecting those already established approaches, we can really start to have a more transformational effect. So Longevity City it's based on two core principles. So the first is effective community engagement. So engaging your citizens to really determine what their aspirations are for their city. How do they want to age? What do they need for aging? It's not about, but it isn't just about needs. It's not just about needs in later life. It's about what are their dreams? What are their hopes? What do they enjoy doing? The second principle is about addressing inequalities, because if we're all not aging equally, it's not what we're working towards. So we have to mobilize businesses to focus on finding solutions to address those inequalities. And the aim of Longevity City is to provide sustainable environments to enable people, or to, nudge people into making more healthy lifestyle decisions. Because if we can enable people to make healthier decisions throughout their life, then hopefully they will get more healthy later years. And so that's the shift from age-ready to actually promoting longevity cities. And final point, we can't do this alone. You really need to engage local governments, you need to engage communities, you need to engage businesses. Everyone needs to be swimming in the same direction. And that's the only way that we can really have that kind of transformational effect. Voice, as Nicola mentioned, is how we engage communities. Voice has been going for 15 years, and it's our citizen community that we're very proud of. They are absolutely incredible. It's an international community of 4,000 citizens who are really passionate about working with businesses, working with research organizations, to ensure that these new products and services, these new research initiatives and programs are centered on the real needs of real people. So they are the end users of research, they're the end users of innovation. And we have a very well-established chapter in the UK, but we are establishing Voice Italy this year. We're establishing Voice Canada in December. Voice Australia and Voice Singapore will follow in 2023. And the idea is that we can then join these chapters, join these communities to really drive and facilitate an international dialogue on what is needed for healthy longevity.
Thank you, Alex. I have a quick question for you. Sorry,
yes.
But it wasn't planned. But, I think, I have the impression that the majority of people here, including those who are listening to us now, are probably coming from an SME perspective. They're into business. Why should they be interested in that, in Voice, in this bottom-up and co-design approach?
It de-risks innovation, essentially. So we're not market research. So that is simply the question that we always get is this just market research? And it's not. Market research is usually a snapshot of community insight at one point in time, usually a survey, and it's very light touch. What we do with Voice is we work with SMEs, we connect them to their end users, and we support communities and the businesses to craft and hone and shape concepts. We validate the concepts, but then we embed them throughout the innovation pathway. So they are co-designers. We call them our citizen co-design community, and they are embedded completely throughout the innovation process. So then you're ensuring that the innovators don't lose sight of what is actually needed.
Voila, thank you. Arun, we had quickly also some minutes to talk. Silver Economy, it tells the title, no? It's about economy, it's about opportunities. And in your country, you're preparing the future when it comes to aging. And while we were speaking, you said something that struck my attention, which is you cannot prepare yourself for aging when you're 80. You have to do that much before. What's the strategy of your country for, say, having more of all the others, or preparing them to move to your country and to be better off?
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. We have a stand. I have got many people coming to the stand of Mauritius and asking, well, why are you here, Mauritius? Well, we see that we've got the sun, we've got the sea, we've got the palm trees. So we are nearly in Mauritius. And are you promoting tourism? Are you promoting property development? And clearly, no. We are here for the silver economy. And the reason is very simple. We have two main concerns in Mauritius. Mauritius, first, is a small island. And most of you, obviously French people, you know about Mauritius, coming to visit Mauritius, tourism in Mauritius, but Mauritius is much more than this, obviously. And we've noticed that this issue of longevity, the issue of silver economy, is not really taken for small island states. And this is a major concern, I think. And the issue can be very serious for those small islands because they don't have the same resources as we have in major developed countries. And so, what are the two concerns about Mauritius? Mauritius has done remarkably well as an island in terms of its economic development. You see tourism in Mauritius, but in fact, the main economy, the main sectors of the economy in Mauritius are manufacturing, are property, are logistics, financial services, ICT, education, ocean economy. So Mauritius is much more than this. So Mauritius has done well, has developed, the quality of life, the purchasing power of the population has improved. But then what we saw is that Mauritius is an aging population. Today, 1 out of 3 Mauritians, they are over 50 years old. And Mauritius has one of the lowest fertility rates in the world. So population is not growing naturally. So this issue is growing up very fast. And what we notice as well is that the structure of the family in Mauritius is changing. Most of the populations is from Asian origins. So now what we see, the youngsters are living more and more to live their own dreams. They are not staying at home with their parents or grandparents taking care of them. So those senior people in Mauritius, they are more and more alone, aging alone, and clearly government has to make sure that we take care of this. That's the first concern. The second concern is we have opened up the economy in the early 2000s to attract foreigners to invest in Mauritius, to set up business in Mauritius, to reside in Mauritius, and to retire in Mauritius. So now we have a residence permit which is dedicated for retired non-citizens. And this has been a great success. Today we have an increasing number of foreign retirees setting up in Mauritius. And this number is growing very fast, especially French retired citizens. We saw the numbers, especially now with the COVID, people wanting to change life. Now with the security issues, the war in Europe, etc. So we are getting more and more of those foreigners setting up in Mauritius. But those people, clearly, we have to support their life in Mauritius. So we have two concerns: foreign retired non-citizens and the local aging population. So that's why government now is coming up to think about how to set up a full-fledged silver economy ecosystem in Mauritius with all the partners, the services, which can support both the local aging population and the retired non-citizens in Mauritius.
Thank you, Arun. I have already a question for you, but I will ask you later. And before doing that, I would like to move to you, Suzanne. Suzanne, now we'll try to read, because I need to read. Suzanne is an IBM master inventor with over 200 global patents issued and 2021 inductee into the States of Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. I think you know something about technology. Now, my question is, are we really sure that technology can fix aging? And I'm saying this from the perspective of of a program which actually is
Yeah.
flagging that. But I'm trying to ask you this question because I would like to understand what can be the barriers to overcome to introduce technology into older people's life.
I think that's a great question. And there's a lot of aspects to technology. I just want to point out my colleagues are here. We have a booth. And it's a SilverEco project, which is integrated home care for comorbidities. And how do we address when an older adult not just has one kind of chronic illness, but multiple illness, and how do you monitor that? That in its own right is really complicated. And when you start to build out a solution, you want to scale it, and that becomes even more complicated. So this project is in Ireland, Belgium, Sweden, and Italy. And it's not only looking to help older adults age in place safely, but also scale across, multiple countries. And so your question about can technology be the answer? Technology is fantastic. If you walk around the booths today, you'll see amazing innovation that has a lot of design focus to it. But ultimately, the older adults of today are not the older adults of tomorrow. The older adults of tomorrow is us. And we all have our cell phones probably an inch away from us at all times. So technology is a little more ubiquitous. Today, older adults, when we think about the digital literacy and the continuum, new technology is always going to come in. Now we're using voice technology. How does an older adult, work with Alexa? So that continuum is always adding new emergent technology, and where someone might fall on the continuum and the gap that skills they need to learn. And it's not, I know we have ambient sensors, but you still, as an individual, want to feel comfortable with the technology in your home. And so I think like the work you're doing, bringing in the end user into the discussion and understanding, what are those barriers and facilitators to adopt into technology? It's not that the technology isn't amazing, it's how do older adults feel comfortable using it? And I did some research myself trying to understand this topic, and I really think COVID almost leveled up a lot of older adults because of the sheer purpose of wanting to stay connected. A lot of older adults who wanted to engage with their children and grandchildren figured out how to use FaceTime, Zoom, whatever the technology was to still have those moments. And that's one of the things that really surfaced in my literature, that digital literacy, that continuum is very purpose-driven. So when we target older adults, no one wants to be old, right? So how do you target the technology in a way that they want to adopt it, they understand the benefit, and they're comfortable with it. And that kind of brings in this personal resiliency. That's another kind of theme that emerged. And, some people feel technology, they're old-fashioned, it's not for them, it's for the youth. And I think that ties into a little bit of ageism, just in general. And I know in the US, we have an organization, AARP, and they have a program to disrupt aging. And they're showing older adults living very healthy lives, and technology is for them. And I think the work in this room and on this panel is really kind of hitting at that core of that adoption and facilitation of technology.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. I'm hearing some quite common and interesting keywords in what you're saying. Aging, stigma, ageism, and looking around this exhibition area, we must agree that there is technology at various stages of development. Now, if we had to point out some key elements to facilitate them to get in touch with final end users, what would you say would that be? Legislation, digital literacy, long life learning? What is it, this element? Because we have to capitalize on, there is one good element of COVID. One is that people now do things basically from where they want. That's great. The other thing is that people started to use much more technology. Mm-hmm. That's good, especially in this case. But if we don't capitalize on the momentum, we lose it. What are the ingredients for doing that? Maybe who wants to comment on this? Maybe from Italy at legislative level or systemic level. What is that you feel that now you would need to really build and give momentum to silver economy Italy, apart from collaborations?
I want to copy this exhibition. Absolutely.
Okay.
All.
Hurum.
Well, I can see from Mauritius two very important uses of technology for aging people. First, obviously, those foreign retired citizens who are in Mauritius, they have their family or their friends which are very far away. And today Mauritius has a very well-developed infrastructure for telecoms, all fiber. So this has really facilitated all the tools you mentioned about Zoom, Teams, Skype, or whatever. So we've seen that they have been very easily, even during the confinement of the COVID, even they were 10,000 kilometers far away from their family, they've been able to connect, to talk, to share, just as if that they were together. The second use, which I believe is very important and which we want really to develop in Mauritius, is telemedicine. Obviously, we are doing a lot to improve our health system, and whether on the public side or on the private side. But clearly, we are not going to be able to do everything, have all the pathologies or whatever being treated directly in Mauritius. But having access through technology to telemedicine from anywhere, and we can see, for instance, in robotics, they can do intervention from quite far away. So I think technology is really an enabler, a facilitator, but clearly is not, I would say, should not be at the center of all of it. It should really have a real use and use for the end user at the bottom of the line.
So technology is not the end, but the means to achieve a better society, a better life. To this end, Suzanne, you're a technology expert. How does our artificial intelligence impact all the discourse on technology development when it comes to aging? If you can name few that can be, can resonate everyone here.
Yeah, so I want to answer that first question that you asked about legislation or technology to help. And I do think there is a little bit of an issue of cost. Like who pays for the technology in the home? So even if there's this technology available, an older adult might not have Wi-Fi, or know how it works in their home. So I think that enablement and almost like boots in the door to help set up everything and make them comfortable with it is important. So who pays for that is kind of a big question. And with technology and artificial intelligence, we're able to find patterns in data using AI and machine learning that we weren't able to do before. And drawing out those insights is how you can manage comorbidities, not just one chronic illness, but multiple. And so really the power of the advanced analytics and advanced technology is how we better understand the individual to deliver that personalized adaptive care. Because this is not a homogeneous population. Every individual is going to be at a different stage of aging. They're all going to have, whether it's genetics, their personal attitude towards aging could impact how well they're aging. So there's a lot of different factors. So being able to process mass amount of different data is where kind of AI and machine learning comes in. And that's where we hope to get to, where we can develop these type of models and then scale them, and not just scale them in one country, scale them in many countries.
Thank you, Suzanne. Well, we're approaching the end of this session, and I think it's also time maybe to wrap up on what you said, because it was a very interesting panel from different perspectives, from different countries, from different also interests, I would like to say. And I heard things that, that I didn't know before. For instance, well, I knew Italy was very old, but I didn't know that Italy was not so familiar any longer, and many people live alone. So there is clearly some interest for problem solving out there for you. From Alex, I heard about the Longevity Project and The Voice, which is a way to co-design and involve citizens in a bottom-up approach that I find essential, not just for citizens, but also for businesses and the industry. And I'm hearing that technology is not all the answer, but there are barriers we need to overcome, and we need to address it by thinking of something that is not for old. And finally, there in the Mauritius, there are great plans for the future to host who not is just already old today, but also for me and you who will be very soon. I would like to thank you for having participated to this panel. It was the first international panel of Silver Economy France. I would like to thank again the organizers, Jérôme and Liliane, for calling me here to do this. And I will take just 1 minute for publicity for us, because my program is organizing the European Week of Active and Healthy Aging in a month. I think this is a good place for you to come and network and listen what is happening at international level in this domain. It takes place in Dansk from 18th to 21st, and I'll be happy to give you more information after this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.